Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, brought to you as always by the great folks over at Zephyr Epic. You can use promo code HOCKEYSEASON, capital H, capital S, all one word, Hockey Season. That will get you $5 off your order. You have two shopping options. If you choose to shop online, you're going to want to visit www.zephyrepic.com. That is ZEPHYR epic.com. You can also check them out at their retail location in Surrey, but we have a lot of listeners all over the place. And if you're in Canada, anywhere in Canada, you can enjoy free shipping on any order over $50 from Coombs. We're talking Coombs in the chat.
From Coombs to Cole Harbor.
Okay, where is Coombs?
Coombs is just a little bit up the island from Parksville.
Was it close where I was?
Oh, yeah.
Like I could have gone there because everybody talks about this goats. What's goats on the roof?
There's goats on the roof.
What is it?
That's it.
Is it ice cream? I thought it was an ice cream. No,
like
that's cows. That's cows.
No, it's like a little market. They got the honey sticks. You know those?
No.
They're little plastic things.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's a big thing out there. And then we got some little bowls. I like little bowls for when I'm sitting down having a bowl of pretzels or a bowl of...
For sure. Little bowls are handy.
Of mini Reese's. I like the mini Reese's cups.
Nice.
I like the mini bowls or dip. I put dip in there.
Yeah.
3 new ones. I'm struggling to change from fiance to wife, but my wife picked up a few of those bowls at Coombs, so that's great. But the great folks at Zephyr Epic, did you see this? They're giving away the Pokemon's come back with this 151 celebration. That, you know me, I'll get the book out right now if I have to. We're working on it. The original 151. It's been a while since I pulled this thing out. The original 151 are back. They got a celebration. They got a giveaway on Zephyr Epic. They're giving away like 5 boxes of this new Pokemon set that's come out. And it's the good stuff. The original 151, the way it's meant to be.
I'm going to tell a quick story. I hope he's okay with this. Our new, kind of head of all of our audio and video stuff, the guy we've been working with a lot, Amol Delic, everybody knows him from his time
Best
at Sportsnet.
in the business.
We were talking to him early on. He'd listened to a few episodes. And one of his main questions was, Chris, are you like a part owner of Zephyr Epic or something?
He's riffing into me.
And the answer, and he hates your headset, which I love. I think that's so funny.
Yeah.
Because you look like a pilot. I'm flying to Edmonton, giving me a little preview of what I'm going to see. Well, I guess you don't see the pilot, but you know what I mean.
All right, I'm speaking of.
Zephyr Epic.
Won't like this one. I'm going to rip a pack on the air again here. Zephyr Epic, the good folks out there. Check out the giveaways. They're on their Instagram, their Twitter accounts, all that stuff. Big giveaways. And we got a Vancouver Canuck in the first card here. Travis Dermott. That's not a Vancouver Canuck anymore.
I got something shiny. I got something shiny.
I got Stanley Cup champion Ben Hutton as well. That's a fun one.
Dazzlers of Nick Perbix.
Well, that's fun.
I've never heard of this guy.
I have, yep.
Yeah? Scored his first NHL goal last year.
Good for him.
Okay. Anyways.
All right.
Come on.
What do you got? Stock in them or what? Let's go. Move along.
Okay. Are we talking about your wedding at all?
Sure. We can spend a little bit. Jordan Hawkins says goats on the roof. Come on.
Whatever.
You're so not an Islander. You don't get it. Jalapeno bread says Sam Wilson. Good candied salmon there too. Oh yeah, there was a lot of candied salmon around the wedding. I know you didn't get involved in any of this, but a lot of candied salmon going around. It's not a Vancouver Island wedding without some candied salmon. So that was flying around the wedding. What do you want? Quick thing about the wedding. What do you want to say?
I just had a good time.
Yep.
Very happy for you. It was a nice time. We're posting my speech on the Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's that? Tim Robinson? Is that guy's name? The guy?
I think you should leave.
How do I make money off of this? That was me rolling up to your wedding.
Yeah. And you told me in the night, I think I brought this up on the show yesterday. You should have done Hello Canucks fans. Welcome back to your little intro.
I think 12 people would have gotten it. And I think you would have been one of them, which would have made it worth it. And your wife would have been one of them, which also would have made it worth it. But I liked what I did instead. I liked my speech.
It's a hard adjustment to switch to calling her my wife.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm having no problem with it.
No, okay. Well, that's good. I'm working on it. Well, when you say fiance so much, because
for a while you were calling her your girlfriend when she was your fiance.
I screwed that up a few times too, but it just takes me a little bit. My
brain eloped.
My brain just needs to, get sorted out here. So it's all good.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
Hockey season is upon us. We had some games last night. We have the Vancouver Canucks versus Edmonton
Did you catch
Oilers
much of Conor
tonight.
Garland yesterday? Did
you watch a little bit? I did, and I really liked it. Like,
wow.
What did you think? Now, I don't know. I don't want to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Looked a little lost in the defensive zone a couple times.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, lost his check a few times.
Sure, he's in the NHL, but man, that opening face-off there, you got Sidney Crosby. I thought he looked good. I thought there was a couple really good attacks by Bedard.
And he was getting like not hard matched, like more like soft matched against Crosby. He's playing lots of minutes against Crosby. But it just made me laugh because I can't remember the guy's name. There was some draft analyst that was like, maybe Fantilli should go number 1 because Bedard can't defend very well or something. Like he was criticizing Bedard's defensive game, and I groaned at it at the time. And last night I was watching, I'm like, hey, dude was right.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, did you see?
He looked so good.
And our buddy here joined us on the show, David Reinbacher, friend of the show. He signed his deal the other day with Montreal too. So shouts to him, going right to the pro hockey leagues. Love that for him.
That's great.
Good kid. Poor guy after the draft. There were those Canadians fans.
Don't even start.
We're not going to get started.
Yeah, we're not getting into
Hey,
that.
lots of Canucks stuff to get to. Let's go. Let's go right into it. Off the top, I actually don't have my Google Doc open.
That's okay. Let's just preview. Actually,
well, I do all this prep and stuff. I want to get into it.
Yes. Okay. Let's go. We have some prep, some stuff ready to go because you were just at Morning Skate this morning. I wrote about it for Canucks Army, scenes from Morning Skate. Go check it out, canucksarmy.com. Looks like 11 forwards tonight.
First and foremost, shout out to Harmon covering 2 episodes while I was gone for the wedding as well.
Oh, yeah.
Did a great job, Harmon, as per usual, covering your ass and carrying you through an episode.
Oh, whatever. I disconnected one time.
I do that every time here. Harmon can carry the weight. I appreciate that.
Okay, so 11 forwards tonight. It looks like the Canucks should be going with. Do we have the line rushes? I didn't do any prep. Yeah, we do have the line rushes. Okay, pull it up, Aaron. You've got Conor Garland on the first line with Elias Pettersson and Andrei Kuzmenko. Ilya Mikheyev was skating on the 4th line during line rushes, but was ruled out by Rick Tocchet during media availability shortly after this morning's skate. You see Akito Hirose and Noah Juleson in the lineup, so it looks like they're going to have 11 forwards tonight. Thank you, Gary Bettman.
Yeah, not the only team around the NHL as well, right? Like we're seeing a couple. I think the LA Kings have to go with 11 forwards and 6 defensemen. It's not like they're going with the extra defenseman. They're going with just down a player. And I mean, that's just the NHL and their problem with the cap situation, man. Like
you don't want
it's
that.
Laughable.
Nobody wants
it. Really is laughable. I mean, the NHL does a lot of things that are laughable with we just saw what they did with the Pride tape. That's ridiculous. It's stupid. I don't know if we'll get into that later on the show, but I just think that the NHL has a lot of things to change. You shouldn't have multiple teams heading into the opening night. And the Oilers might be down a man too, from what I was hearing talking to the Oilers.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to see, like, how do you do that as a professional sports league? Not let, I get that the cap is limiting teams from having the ability to do so. That's a league-wide problem to me. That's something that the league needs to figure out here with the salary cap. And the Vancouver Canucks, obviously, they're up against it. They've done this themselves with this current cap situation. It's too bad. So
how many teams aren't against the cap right now? Like 6, 7?
I was in the comments yesterday of the show saying 6 teams could take Garland, right?
But who actually isn't right up against the cap right now?
Not many teams, but that's the thing. So Teddy Bluger sounds like he's going to be a game time decision. Rick Tocchet mentioned that he's going to know more in the next 6 to 7 hours here. That was about an hour ago. So the next 5 hours. And by the way, can we get the back cam up, Aaron, for a second?
Quickly here. I want to get this in.
The back cam.
I want to get this in as you do that. We've got Gary Bettman in the chat from a burner account.
Oh.
Deeb55 said, not the NHL's problem, Faber. Teams know the rules and they can take their risks with the cap.
I'm just saying, you can't really see it on the camera, but the Hulu, you can see the Hulu ferry. I've never seen it take off. That Vancouver Island one, right in between the middle buildings there.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That's pretty sweet.
Crank up the zoom, Aaron. Times 50.
I really wish I could bust out. I could. I shouldn't. I was going to bust out the Gary Bettman impression to read that comment from that commenter. Do you have any response?
No, and it's too bad. I mean, it's difficult. And yeah, I mean, like, we wanted to see Ilya Mikheyev. It didn't sound like Rick Tocchet was too, he ruled him out for tonight and didn't sound like he was too hopeful for him on the weekend.
What was that sound?
I just getting back into the
swing of things.
No, but
I feel okay.
I think there's just an overall level of excitement I got going on for tonight, man. I'm really excited for the game to get going tonight. I think I know that, like, we've spent a lot of the offseason just talking about lines, talking about contracts. Tonight's nice, man. It's just going to be a nice time to get down to the rink, watch some hockey. I know a lot of folks here in the chat, they're going to be watching from home or maybe heading down to the game. We're just here, man. Like, we're here at the start of the season, and whatever happens is going to happen, right? Like, the Canucks have put themselves in a position where I feel pretty confident that they have a chance of making the playoffs. I feel pretty confident in the structure that they're going to try and play with this year being a lot different than last year. I have enough confidence in the roster to think if, as Jim Rutherford said at the season opening media availability, like, if things go well, this is a playoff team, right? Like, but a lot of things need to break their direction. And I think that all starts tonight. And I think I like the challenge for the Canucks facing against the Oilers, a team that I think is projected to be a lot of teams' top 2 teams to come out of the Pacific Division. So I like the challenge right off the bat, and then the back-to-backs with the Oilers makes it's a fun start to the season. I'm in the spot of just being excited. Like, I am just excited about tonight. Let's get the lines back up there to kind of discuss the actual the top 9 that we are going to see. Where, like, we were joking before the show, like, I guess like Hughes is going to play 32 minutes because he's probably just going to slide in and play on the 4th line as well, because that's the way Quinn Hughes has been used over the past little bit here with the Vancouver Canucks, especially under Rick Tocchet. But top line, you guys spent a lot of time on this yesterday. Conor Garland's going to be up there with Andrei Kuzmenko and Elias Pettersson. There could be something that clicks there a little bit. I just think that Garland plays a lot better when he can be the spotlight of a line. That's why I think he plays well in a 3rd line role. I was pretty surprised that Anthony Beauvillier is not up on that line. Like, I'm confused why that isn't happening. When I look at this roster and I think which winger would make the most sense up there, especially if you don't want to mix up the DiGiuseppe, Miller, Besser line, which has been together all throughout training camp, all throughout the preseason. Just feels to me like Beauvillier is more the guy there. So I'm a little curious to why it goes with Garland. I can understand if you want like a bigger body than Beauvillier, but you're going with a smaller guy here in Conor Garland. So it confused me a little bit. Or even Höglander, who got all the reps throughout preseason. Like, what's giving Garland the spot here? I'm confused on this one. Tell me, Quads.
I'm not gonna speculate, obviously, but
is it showcasing? Is that what it is?
It could be. I think that's a good theory. But when we talk about the guys who underwhelmed at training camp and through the preseason, Niels Höglander and Anthony Beauvillier were in that conversation. Conor Garland wasn't. Like, was anybody saying Conor Garland didn't show up ready to play for training camp and preseason? Whereas we saw with Beauvillier and Höglander, especially Höglander, you're given that opportunity with Pettersson and Kuzmenko, and he didn't do anything with it. And Tocchet even said he thinks he plays too cute when he's with those guys.
This whole thing about like showcasing a player and putting him on your top line, boosting trade value, as Jordan says, and I don't mean to dump on you here, Jordan, but like, and I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm just saying, like, I don't know how much you can like boost trade value from. I get that he's going to put up points, but people are going to recognize, oh, it's because he's playing with Pettersson and Kuzmenko, right? Like, guys around the NHL are making trades. The analytics guys are smart. They're going to help their GMs. So maybe it catches a GM's eye that he's playing top line minutes or something. I don't know. But
why are you being so ruthless with Jordan?
No, I'm not ripping Jordan. I'm just saying it's, to me, like the boosting trade value thing. Like, I feel like that's a thing from like the 90s and 2000s. But I guess it still goes on. I guess I could see it with a defense pairing. Like, if you're playing with a Quinn Hughes, you probably get a little bit of a boost there because you have the ability to play with those guys. I just look at this Garland spot and I said, man, like, he's just got to go out and do it. Like,
hopefully you can trick the nerds who are like, look how many 5-on-5 points he has if he's playing with Pettersson and Kuzmenko. Like, that's a thing. You could trick the people in the front office who aren't watching games, right? Look how many 5-on-5 points he has. He must be good.
Computer boys, right?
That's right. We hate them on this.
Yeah, and I'm with Jordan there. Yeah, I'm not ripping you, Jordan. So he says it's not going to work, but it's an attempt. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. All right, so that's the big takeaway from the lineup there. I guess the other thing was, you brought it up, the break in case of emergency pairing.
Yes.
Of Quinn Hughes and Phil Hronek. They're going to be the top pairing for the Canucks tonight. They do actually have a full set of defensemen. They got 6 defensemen tonight. We were going to probably see 11 forwards unless Teddy Bluger's about to play. And what's going on here with Carson Soucy? I was away for the weekend. I saw that he was week to week. He skated this morning. It's about the feel for him, was what Rick Tocchet told us today. So what's going to go on there with Carson Soucy, I guess? Like, what has changed over the past 48 hours?
Doesn't sound like he's going to play tonight, but obviously if it's about the feel, he's obviously going on the trip. It's not like he's going to have to go meet them, I don't think. Might play on Saturday. We don't know for sure yet, but I don't know if you saw the play. He got tied up with Sharangovich in Calgary, in Vancouver against Calgary, and looked like his leg was in a really awkward position when it kind of fell under him and he put his weight on it. So that wasn't good. Originally week to week, so we were prepared for the worst, but he skated yesterday on his own, and he skated it on his own this morning as well. So what does it mean when a guy says it's about the feel? I think he might maybe at worst he just has like a bruise or he just tweaked something. Like, it obviously means he hasn't torn anything.
Correct.
We hope.
Well, he's skating today, so yeah, I would think that that's not the situation.
Although I just want to say, like, it was against Calgary, it was in the preseason, and it was a similar lower body injury in the corner that took Ilya Mikheyev out. Like that, and I shouldn't even say took him out because it hurt him, and then he just played through it. So I don't know. Hopefully that's not what's happening with Carson Soucy. And if it is, hopefully he's shut down a little bit earlier than Mikheyev was last year because, look, Mikheyev's not in the opening night lineup. That's too bad because the whole reason he got shut down and had the surgery when he did was with the idea of he'll be 100% ready to go for training camp and more importantly, the season. And here we are. Ilya Mikheyev's not in the lineup. He's close, but
he's very close. He was skating around pretty well today on the ice. I think looking forward to tonight a little bit. Obviously, the Oilers are in town. You know, the prolific power play that we're going to end up seeing tonight. The penalty kill is going to be interesting, right? Sam Lafferty's joined now. He's kind of taking face-offs and being a guy who's going to contribute on the PK. And if Blueger is not in the lineup, and like we said, he's a game-time decision heading into tonight, the PK is going to be tested hard, man. Like they're going to have to rock with Joshua. They're going to have to rock with Pettersson's going to be getting some ice time. Obviously, JT Miller as well. Like they're going to lean on these guys that were asked to do it last year and didn't have a lot of success. Like we really like Pius Suter, and he'll be in the lineup. He'll be killing penalties tonight. We really like Teddy Blueger in the preseason on the penalty kill. You know who else I really liked was Carson Soucy. Like he's got that good length, that reach that you can need on a penalty kill. And it wasn't, I was chatting with J-Pat about this today, who's, by the way, going to be on the show tomorrow. J-Pat's joining us. And today we got Frank Seravalli. Frank's going to join us around 1:30 today, by the way. But I liked what Soucy was able to do at the blue line with his reach, right? He didn't just, it felt like last year a lot of the time. Remember how easy it was for teams to just get set up in the Canucks zone? Like they were able to gain the zone with 5 guys and just make 2 passes and then be set up. And it was super easy. I thought that was something a little bit different in the preseason for the Canucks on the penalty kill. And I think a lot of that came from like Bluger's aggressiveness, Suter's aggressiveness, Soucy's aggressiveness. So you're missing a couple of those guys potentially for tonight. Like I said, game time decision on both Bluger and Soucy, sorry. But if they're able to just be a little bit more aggressive at that blue line and not allow such an easy entry, because it's so funny to watch, because I think that for a while when the Canucks power play struggles, it's like that drop pass and they can't gain the zone. But then it's like the opposite on the penalty kill. They struggle because they're so easily allowing teams to get set up in their own zone. So there's clearly something that needs to be addressed there. And the players that they got in the offseason are going to help. It's just you're missing 2 of them likely for tonight's game. So we'll have to see what happens and how the guys from last season can maybe fit into a new system where they've had a full preseason to get it, instilled in their brains and get all that set up. So I think it'll be interesting to watch. And man, no tougher test than going up against McDavid and Draisaitl. So tonight's going to be a show. I'm excited about it.
I'm curious about this by committee defense. Like how much are we actually going to see that now? Because we just talked about it.
None of it. I bet we see none of it tonight.
You think it's going to be hard pairings, eh?
No, like the committee's thrown out the window. They're putting Hughes and Hronek together. So like the committee stuff that everybody, you last week, you're going off about this thing.
We're not going to see.
You said it's a new Canucks team. They're committee. You're telling me all this stuff last week. You can throw all that out there.
I was telling you that at some point Quinn Hughes is going to play with Hronek. I also said that Philip Hronek is going to be Quinn Hughes' most consistent partner by the end of the year.
Yep.
And it's night 1, and you're basically saying, yeah, you were right, Quad. That's exactly what you're saying.
I said we called it the break glass in case of emergency.
Yeah, but you were sitting here like, no, they're not going to play together.
That's
you got to keep them separate.
Check the tape.
I hate Philip Hronek.
No, I never said that.
You did.
No, I didn't. I think that pairing, how many minutes are they going to play tonight? The Hughes and Hronek pairing? Because, you think they're going to trust Akito Hirose to kill penalties when they could use Hughes? You think they're going to trust Noah Juleson to kill penalties when they could use Hughes?
Yes.
That top 4 for the Canucks, that's the top 4 that's going to be killing penalties, right? It's going to be Hughes, Hronek, Myers, and Cole. That's probably your pairings that you'll see on the penalty kill. I don't think they're going to trust the kid with less than 10 games or Noah Juleson, who hasn't been a consistent NHLer for the past little bit.
Oh,
that
man.
top 4 is that whole top 4, especially the Hronek Hughes line. Man, they're going to be like, I wouldn't be shocked to see Quinn Hughes be 30 minutes on opening night. And then it's like, whoa, you're asking a lot of the kid, and I'm sure he wants it. But the other thing that was interesting was hearing Rick Tocchet talk about it today, because I asked about, it felt like the Canucks today there wasn't a lot of excitement. It felt very businesslike in the comments that we talked to. When we talked to Pettersson, we talked to JT Miller, we talked to Akito Hirose. And Tocchet, the way he spoke about it was like, yeah, we're not trying to get too excited and have too many ups and downs. It's an 82-game season. Ride it out that way. Does that get thrown out the window for Hughes tonight? Like, I can see Hughes being 30 minutes. It would not shock me at all.
Honestly, honest number. Also, the chat is popping off. I want to get to a few comments here, but first, so Nexus said Hughes playing 40 minutes tonight.
Book it.
Honestly, I would set the over-under at 27. You taking the over or under 27 minutes for Hughes tonight?
I would take the over there.
In game 1, you're confident. Okay, me too.
He's going to get 3+ minutes on the power play, right?
Yep.
He's going to get probably 2 to 4 minutes on the penalty kill. He's going to do 20 minutes at 5-on-5. Yeah, he's going to be over 27 tonight. You can bet on that.
Nexus also said Myers will be in the box, so he can't penalty kill.
Hey,
so you're going to see Noah
you are
Jules
gonna
at
see
some
Jules,
point.
yeah.
Okay. Lot of people in the chat today. Thank you. People are getting fired up for the regular season starting here. This is interesting.
I'm
I want to
fired
get to
up.
this from L Jim. He said, any coaches in the chat, did they change from a low zone collapse to a 1-2-2 neutral zone trap? This is really interesting. I saw it on Twitter the other day. A lot of teams are changing their systems around. A lot of teams are going to what Vegas was using. Some teams are going, like Toronto's using what Tampa was using when they won 2 cups. It's just interesting. All this system stuff, I find it really interesting. It'll be curious to see what the Canucks kind of do and talk about it with Rick talking.
Well, and I know Rick's talked about it on the penalty kill, at least, like the change that they've had on the system. He hasn't really talked about his 5-on-5 forecheck yet or how they're defending the neutral zone.
Coaches don't love to publicly talk about
No.
exactly what their systems are.
But he was asked about the diamond that they're running, right? And I think it can be useful, especially, I mean, you kind of looked for a change for the Canucks penalty kill anyways, and he's saying it's kind of a modified diamond, right? Like there is a lot more movement than just set positions. So we'll have to see it working then. Like I said, you're going to get tested tonight. Before we get to Frank, I did have a few just kind of expectations. Like, we can go like old school sports radio here a little bit and have some broad topics. We've spent a lot of the offseason discussing these same topics, but today's the day, man. Like today's the actual start of the regular season. So I want to get to a couple of expectation things that I had for the Vancouver Canucks. Just wanted to dive into a few things. Get your thoughts on it, Quads. Our second thing on the docket down there. The
Quinn Hughes is scoring 20 goals. I expect it.
So that's part of my first question.
Okay.
What's more likely this season? I'd love for the chat to get involved. And by the way, should we tease a little bit? We got a little segment coming soon where the chat's going to be getting in on
next Monday it launches.
And we're going to start on Monday. So we want to get the chat more involved. The chat's been really popping off today, so that's great to see. We're going to get the chat more involved because you and I have struggled really hard to like get a segment.
And we got one now.
And I think we got one because of Almo doing a great job.
Yeah,
over
exactly.
There. He's the best in the business. We gotta have something for the chat. We'll get to that. It'll be on Monday. We're gonna launch it. We're gonna see how the chat. Hopefully the chat's fired up like they are today. We should have launched it today. I told you.
If we have meaningful games in November, we will have this chat.
Okay. Here's the thing.
Just
first
give
question.
Us meaningful games in November.
First question. Let's hear. I want the chat to get involved here as well. What's more likely, Quads, and the chat? Elias Pettersson to 100 points, or Quinn Hughes to 82 points? What is more likely to happen next season? Pettersson to 100? Or Hughes to 82?
More likely Pettersson to 100.
You think so?
No, I don't actually. More likely is Hughes to 82. Yeah.
I thought it's a tough one because both of them would have to have a very good season.
I think Hughes is I have more confidence that Hughes is going to have a very good season than I do Pettersson is going to repeat what he did last year.
Here's the thing though about last season with Pettersson.
Like I think Hughes is going to build off of what he did last year, and that's a success. And not that it's a bad season if he repeats, but if Pettersson repeats what he did last year, he's all of a sudden a $13 million player.
But
and that's
my
a great
question with Pettersson is Pettersson wasn't very successful on the power play last year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if you can add that to Pettersson's game,
but what if you can't?
And if Hughes is over 82, he's really getting in the Norris conversation.
And think about it this way too. We're talking about.
I think it's, and I can see in the chat a lot of either or.
I'm going Hughes.
Seems like the chat is leaving a little bit more towards Hughes.
But also keep this in mind, Chris, because you just said, what did you say? Pettersson didn't score on the power play much.
Yeah,
Quinn Hughes didn't score much.
There's a good point too.
And he's scoring a lot in the preseason, and he's going to finish the year with well over 20 goals. If he scores 40, you owe me 2 dinners and 4 Coke and rums.
If he scores 40, I'll do something more than that even.
It's okay. I'll just take the dinners thing.
25 points on the power play last year for Elias Pettersson. Only 6 goals on the power play. I just want to see Pettersson take more wrist shots. Right? Do you remember like the first couple of years of him in the league? His wrist shot was just every time it went, it was like bar down, and not even bar down. It would hit that back, the top of the net, inside of the net in the top part. He used to rip it there. I want him to do that more on the power play this season. I think that's where the goals went. They lost a little bit there.
The last time the Vancouver Canucks played their home opener or season opener at home, last time that happened, do you know the day?
No.
Calgary Flames were in town.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Smith was in net.
Yeah.
And
Nikolai Goldobin was on Elias Pettersson's line
with Louis Eriksson. And Petey found back bar in that game. Literally what you were just talking about. Sniped short side. Mike Smith is still looking for that puck.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That was beautiful.
Let's see that again tonight. I want to, man. We've had some tough seasons in Vancouver. Like, we're deserving of it. The fan base is deserving of it.
We don't
and
deserve
everyone
anything.
said, no, well, you say this, and you
the
always
fans deserve it. We
you
don't.
always say that you're.
Why do we deserve it?
The media, they deserve, like, they're bad media here in Vancouver. Man, speaking for myself here as a media member, I would love for something nice here. Like
I would love for something nice.
I'm tired of getting clicks from the negative stuff and the trade stuff. I want to get clicks from the Canucks being good. I want to get clicks from talking about the top 6 being perfect, not having to be shaken up every 2 weeks. Do you get that? Like, Vancouver, think about, like, remember how good, like, the Boston line was, their top line? They never got switched around. That line didn't get mixed up for like 3 years. Why can't the Canucks get a line where it's just like, this is it? This is the top 6 line. They're a top line. We don't have to change it every 3 weeks. Like, that would be great. And it's possible. They have the guys to do so. So, I don't know. Okay, next question here.
Got another question for me?
Yeah, a couple different ones. What place will the Canucks penalty kill finish at the end of the season?
I've given this a lot of thought. 19th.
19th.
If they're going to make the playoffs, they need to be 19th. Like, maybe if they make the playoffs, they need to be better than like 23rd. They need to be better than like 23rd, 22nd.
Right. Will's got a great comment here. PD probably needs over 100 for Hughes to get 82.
That's a great point.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I like that in there. Sorry, you said 18th?
No, 19th.
19th. Okay. I'm going to say by the end of the season, and Brandon says 13th. Dan says 10th. Ooh, some high hopes. Some high hopes early on here. I think that
That's
the
very
Canucks
high.
will be, I think they'll be 22nd.
22nd?
22nd.
Okay, so do you think that's enough to make the playoffs?
I think so, man. As long as he ain't in 30 seconds, I think that's an upgrade for the Canucks. I think it gives them a real chance. Nexus says top 15. Karan says 17th.
Well, guys, we're talking about a league like historically worse
and
penalty kill.
And every team thinks they improved their penalty kill this offseason. Let's be honest. Every team thinks they did.
Yeah, you have to think about that too. Like, who are they leapfrogging? Do you know what I mean? Because we're talking about the worst penalty kill of all time. Going in, making a couple additions. They did look good in the preseason, but it was interesting. JT Miller today spoke about that, and he said that was just preseason, and now it's actually, it actually matters now. And I get what he's saying. Obviously, you like the systems to some extent, but Miller's right. Like, none of that matters anymore. You have to actually go out and do it. Yeah. What was their penalty kill like in preseason last year?
I can't remember, man.
All I know is it wasn't as bad as it was in the regular season.
Yeah, Brandon brings up a good point here. Demko will be healthy. That's going to help a lot. Of course. I mean, I hate to say it, Quads, but the goalies are the most important penalty killer, right?
This is interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have a little tool here. I just realized this. Aaron pointed this out that it was on last time. The touch up my appearance, it makes you look like you're like, if we were on TV, they put makeup on you, like those Donnie and Dolly guys.
Remember the time you and I did a photo shoot, we wore makeup, yeah?
Yeah, look, I just cranked it. Look, I don't even look real now. Sorry for the podcast listeners.
Like one of those Bratz dolls.
Yeah.
All right. Last one before I think we're getting to Frank. Frank's doing 15 shows today. We'll get.
Yeah, Frank's got quite a bit going on. And
this
one thing I
want to
get in.
This whole thing I'm doing here, this should be the chat segment. This is great. The chat's involved a ton here. Everyone's excited for the season.
Just because we don't have a sponsor for it until Monday.
We have a sponsor on
Monday. It. We do, but okay, maybe we shouldn't announce the segment. I'll almost probably listen to this. Anyways,
no. Well, we'll get Frank hitting us with a ding dong here.
Here's one that I want you to.
Final one. No, I got
down.
the final one.
Okay,
and then you can tell me yours. One player that you bet on to exceed your expectations this season, and let's just talk about the baseline of expectations. What you think everyone's going to do? Who's the guy that you think's going to step up and be the guy that's like, wow, you know what? He played above what I expected this season. He's my guy. Like, he's the guy who did it this year. Like, there's, that's what it comes down to at the end of the season. Who was able to do their job? Who's the guy who's going to do their job extremely well?
Maybe Suter. I think Suter might be. I mean, he had a strong preseason, but I just think he might be in a position where he can really start to produce offensively as well. I like Suter. Suter's probably my pick there.
We got some Hirose comes in here. Quinn, Hronek, PDG, another Hronek. That's my pick. It's Phil Hronek. I think
I have high expectations for him, though.
I do too, but I think that now, especially starting the season as Quinn Hughes' partner, like, look around the league, right, with defensemen. I'm sure there's better pairings than Hughes and Hronek.
I
But
got a
if
good
they were to click together,
Yep.
this has the chance to be one of the top 5 pairings in the NHL.
Oh yeah,
Quinn Hughes
that's a
is
great
that
point.
good, and he's never had a defenseman as good as Filip Hronek as his partner. So if they click and this works, this could be one of the top pairings in the NHL. It's just we don't know because they didn't use it they used it one game in preseason. So we need to see it happen in a game. We need to see what it looks like at 5-on-5. We need to see if Hronek starts, unleashing that slap shot that we've been wanting to see for a long time here and haven't really seen in a Canucks jersey yet. If he can work with his shot, Quinn Hughes' ability to move the puck, like there could be a lot of really exciting things from that pairing. They've broken the glass. They've gone to the emergency pairing of throwing them together at this point. But at least for the first time in a long time, like Quinn Hughes has a legitimate NHL partner that you're feeling confident about.
Here's one for you. Thatcher Demko. We have pretty high expectations for him.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Seravalli, our friend, who hopefully is going to join the show today.
Yep.
Picked him to win the Vezina trophy. That's not my expectation is that he's going to win the Vezina, but I think he might be someone that exceeds our expectations this year.
I like it.
I do too. That's why I said it.
Vector says, Tanev. Yeah. Tanev was good.
Tanev erasure.
He was great.
Well, it was Hughes that said himself. Hughes yesterday said that he's probably never played with anybody as good as Filip Hronek. And I saw people on Twitter being like, Chris Tanev erasure. And hey, Tanev was good, but like, I feel like a lot of people haven't watched Filip Hronek when he's played his best games in Detroit.
Right. I'm going to shoot Frank a quick text here.
What? Okay. Well, that's fine. It's just funny that you announced it. Do we want to just get to Betway?
You said you had one of the. Did you have a question that you wanted to get into the chat? I think the chat's been awesome. For this right
the thing we really need to talk about, that I said we would talk about yesterday when I'm on with you. This is what I said was what we would talk about. Sam Lafferty. We haven't talked about it at all. The Sam Lafferty acquisition happened during your wedding. I was driving with your brother in the passenger seat of my car, and he saw me have to. I call all our news people and got them all ready to go, but I had to kind of allocate all that because Sam Lafferty became a Canuck.
Yeah, and I saw him today. Big body. He's one of these guys that has 6'2" or whatever in their bio on the old elite prospects there. And I walked by. You know what I do, Quads? My little 6'2" test. If you're as tall as I am, you're 6'2".
Mm-hmm.
If you're shorter than me, you're one of those lying accounts. He's 6'2". I think it's gonna be exciting. I hope that he's the kind of player that Vancouver Canucks fans love a good fourth line guy, right? Vancouver loves a good fourth line guy. Artem Chabarov, Yarko Ruutu for a long time. These type of players like piss people off. Rafi Torres when he was a Canuck. Those type of guys. Jeff Cowan's playoff excellence. Like these kind of players. I think Lafferty has the potential to be pretty exciting. Do I think that they gave up a 5th round pick? Was that too much? I don't know.
No, it
I
wasn't.
Don't think so.
It
I think
wasn't.
you're getting. No, that's what I'm saying. I think you're getting an NHL player here who, could you have found someone on waivers that could have had a similar impact? Probably, but you like this player type, right? You like the player type of Lafferty, and you want to see him be annoying to play against. All these type of things. Like I think if he lives up to expectations, like go out there in game 1, go out there and piss someone off on the Oilers. As soon as Darnell Nurse starts throwing those elbows, Lafferty step up and do something about it. I think that would gain a lot of respect from the fan base, from the coach, and from the room. And if he's able to do that in game 1, you're going to like this Lafferty kid if he's able to stick it out.
Said this on the last episode, and this is what bothers me a lot, is when I'm seeing people on Twitter complaining about it, I'm just like, what are you complaining about? Like, think about what you're complaining about. You're complaining, fine. If you're still doing this, all the power to you. I think it's dumb. I don't personally do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're still complaining that, this team shouldn't be trying to make the playoffs, they should be doing a rebuild. If you're still complaining about that, have fun. Do with whoever's listening to you talk. It's not me. But if you also have the belief, and I'm not saying I believe this, but we've heard it, and it's a rumor, so it's worth actually at least having some level of awareness of, that if the Canucks miss the playoffs or have a bad season that Elias Pettersson's gone, I'm doing a hell of a lot more than trading a 5th for Sam Lafferty to improve this team. Now, I'm not saying that the Canucks need to be more aggressive and give up more future assets, but if that is true, that they are worried about losing Elias Pettersson, if they have a bad season, which I think is a fair concern. You don't want to have another non-playoff year. You just don't want to have that, Elias Pettersson or not, but definitely because of Elias Pettersson as well. You don't want to have that.
Right.
So if that's the case, how can you complain about trading for a guy like Sam Lafferty, who is a step up, unequivocal step up on Jack Studnicka and Niels Oman, who is going to start on this fourth line? We talked about how underwhelming this battle was in preseason for the final roster spot. Yeah, Jack Studnicka came in and tried really hard. That was great.
Yeah.
But you know what you're getting in Sam Lafferty.
Right.
Like, I don't understand the moaning about giving up a fifth round pick for a guy who you know is going to fit into your system, plays the way you're going to want him to, and can kill penalties pretty damn well. Like, this is a known commodity that the Canucks got that they are going to be very happy with. Another thing I saw people say was,
when
giving
you
up
trade the fifth, you're missing out on Matthew Perkins.
Okay. Another thing I saw from people was, I like Sam Lafferty, but this just feels like the Benning regime all over again, giving up assets and draft capital for players. It's like, okay, but a big thing with the Benning regime was all the players they targeted sucked.
This is true.
Like, a second round pick for Sven Baertschi, Marcus Granlund, whatever it was they gave up, all that crap. Those were bad trades. And at the time, people said these are bad trades. And then you had people saying, no, give these guys a chance. Like, let us see how they do in Vancouver. Jim said he likes them. Okay, that's one thing. That's fine. But for the most part, all of the players that this Canucks management regime have actually targeted, like actually made a point of saying, this is somebody we really wanted and we went out and got him, they've all been pretty good bets. And now I know it's early on Soucy and Cole, but they look good in the preseason. They look like they're going to do exactly what the Canucks wanted them to do when they went out and signed these guys.
Yeah.
But this is the problem when you're Patrick Allvin and you make a trade for Riley Stillman, you frame it as anything other than this was the only way for us to get out of some bad money. That's the problem when you make a trade for Anthony Beauvillier and you make it sound like it was anything other than this is the player the Islanders said they were sending back for them to take on Bo Horvat's contract and make the money work.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem that you run into is some people aren't going to trust you, which is fine. And hey, I'm not knocking Anthony Beauvillier. Hell, I'm not even knocking Riley Stillman. I'm just saying from a philosophical standpoint here, Chris, people getting upset that they're going out and unequivocally improving the team. Like the team got better at a very low cost and low risk. I just feel like those people are losing the plot. And I've already said it a number of times. If they really wanted to, they could have gone full Benning and they could have committed long-term to Ryan O'Reilly. They could have made long commitments to guys on defense as well, but they didn't. They kept their eye on the future. They kept adding to their prospect pool. They're trying to develop these guys in Abbotsford. I just don't know how you can look at a trade like this one with Sam Lafferty and have any take other than that's a smart ad. I hope this guy really helps out the fourth line.
You know what? This trade aligns with the way the organization is going. And how was that when Jim Benning when that regime was in? I don't even want to bring his name up all this because it just feels like we're just up. But like when that regime was here, there wasn't. Remember how much it was like you're going 1 foot down this path, 1 foot down the other path? At least with a trade like the Lafferty one, you know which way this team is going down the path. They've told us they're retooling. They're not rebuilding. When you trade a fifth for a player who's going to play on your fourth line, that's a retooling move. You're right.
They're also trying to make it sustainable.
Sure.
Which is where they really differ from the Benning era.
And you can make the argument about what they did in free agency. Ian Cole 1 year, right? Teddy Bluger 2 years, Pius Suter, like these type of contracts that aren't 3 years long with $12 million on them, 4 years long. Like they are at least staying in line with what they've told us they want to do. Maybe everything doesn't work out. That's probably what's going to happen. Everything's not going to work out perfectly as much as Jim Rutherford would like it. And maybe it will a little bit to a certain degree. Things might work out a little bit better, but you're looking at the way that this team's kind of at least dip their toes in the same pool, right? Like at least they're staying in the terms of being on a retool. That part we did understand at least. And they're staying on that path, at least with these trades. So that's one good thing you could look at it. I don't think it's the worst to give up a 5th round pick for a guy who's not only going to be a 4th liner for you, but your hope is that Lafferty is going to be an effective 4th liner who doesn't just play like a 4th line player. Like he has a role that he plays. He's one of the tougher guys. He's able to contribute certain ways. Like those are the ways I look at Lafferty being impactful and not looking at this trade in a bad way at all.
The bottom 4 for this team for years has been young guys who shouldn't be there, guys who aren't good enough to play in the top 9 forward group, and aren't traditional. Like, when's the last time the Canucks had an actual 4th liner on their 4th line? With Tyler Mott?
Sure.
Like, Nils Åman isn't really a 4th liner. Like, he's not he's not even the Canucks NHL 4th liner. I was going to say, how many NHL teams is Nils Åman last year the 4th line center of?
Ooh.
Maybe 3, including the Canucks.
Yeah.
They went out and actually got a guy who is a bottom 6 winger. Like, he's not going to jump up to the first line. He might, but hopefully that doesn't happen. But when you have a guy like Vasily Podkolzin on your 4th line, that's another example.
Right.
You don't want that. You want to be able to have these guys. Also, huge shout out, even though he's disagreeing with me a little bit, but you remember this name. Jaakko Rakola, our listener from Finland, who always tells me I mispronounce his name a little bit here, but he's in the chat. Jaakko, you responded to this, but it feels like you haven't been here for a long time. Immediately saw your name and remembered
Season's
you, though.
back. Jaakko's back.
Yeah, Jaakko's back.
Well, and shout out to Tomi Koivunen, my buddy there from Finland reporter. He was back at practice. He's back in Vancouver again. Good guy, Tomi. I like him. I was chatting with him today. Gave him a big hug. Nice to see Tomi.
Any other Finnish people you want to shout out?
I want to shout out Olli Juolevi, who's with Timra now in the FHL.
Yes.
Okay,
I was joking. I really don't want you to keep doing this.
I love the Finns.
Please
They're
stop.
good folks.
Yeah. This is very interesting. We have this is the highest number of live chat interaction we've had in a very, very long time. People are
it's a season, baby. We're excited. Let's get to our Betway bet of the day, and we'll see if Frank's back by then. If not,
hang on.
No.
Darcy Johnson had a good comment here. He said, you can't develop top 6 guys in 4th line roles. Bang on. Stop putting Vasily Podkolzin on the 4th line.
Sure.
Stop putting Nils Höglander on the 4th line. Like, Nils Höglander's there right now. He's going to open the season on the 4th line. I would much rather have Sam Lafferty
without another winger.
If you're it's just 2 guys.
It's just Lafferty and
if
Höglander.
You're really, really trying to make the playoffs, which this team is, and hey, like, they're not all in. They are keeping their eye on the future. And the idea that, they're giving up future, so how can they have an eye on the future? The future was a 5th round pick. And the future was a 1st and a 2nd, which, sure, that's significant, but that was to get Filip Hronek, a guy who they think is going to be here and is going to be part of the solution for a long time. We already said, what does this defense even look like if you don't make the Filip Hronek trade last season? Like, what does this team look like opening up this year? You're typing. You're pulling a quads. You're totally zoned out. But it looks bad, folks. Like, if this team didn't have Filip Hronek, we just talked about break glass in case of emergency. If the Canucks got in the same position, what's their break glass in case of emergency? Tyler Myers?
Oh,
like that's the answer.
Now we're having an emergency.
And Cole McWard makes the team. And now imagine if this team also still sucked at recruiting NCAA free agents. No Akito Hirose, no Cole McWard. Or if they were still in Utica, Phil DiGiuseppe probably doesn't resign. Christian Wolanin probably doesn't resign.
I mean, the process has made sense. And I mean,
because nobody wants to live in Utica.
Yes. Yeah, Utica's not the best spot there. I'll tell you that from what I've heard with the folks. And listen, some good folk out there in Utica. The city, I don't know about it. But there's some folks out there that are good.
No, there's good people in Utica. And I shouldn't say no one wants to live there. No one wants to make routine trips between Vancouver and Utica.
Oh, yeah, that's the problem then. That was the problem.
Yeah.
That's
drive down Highway 1's beautiful. Highway 0 for you in Dollywall.
No, 0 Avenue. Yeah, it's a good spot. All right, let's get to our Betway bet. I don't know if we're getting Frank in here today. Our Betway bet of the day. People in the chat have been, there's tons of people in the chat. People are ripping it up. Also, everybody has guessed our Betway bet of the day. Actually, y'all have nailed this. So my Betway bet of the day that I did this hours ago, I didn't just change this while everybody's been talking about it. Our Betway bet of the day is the first goal scorer of the game today as the Oilers face off against the Vancouver Canucks tonight at Rogers Arena. And we got Andrei Kuzmenko to open the scoring in the game. This isn't just a first goal scorer for the Canucks. This is the first goal scorer in the whole game. $10 bet. is going to return you $150, Quads. I'm feeling this one here, Andrei Kuzmenko. I think he is going to open up the scoring in tonight's game. So $10 bet's going to return you 150. Must be 19 plus to play. Bet the responsible way with the good folks over there at Betway. Betway.
Trivia question. Mm-hmm. Who scored the first goal of the Canucks season last year in Edmonton?
Oh, do you know the answer?
Yeah.
Just give it to me.
Elias Pettersson.
Followed by plus 700, I think.
Followed by
Kyle Burrows.
Andrei Kuzmenko.
Okay.
Actually, I think Kuzmenko may have been later in the game. I think they had a 3-goal lead and then they blew it and lost to the Oilers.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens tonight.
Let's bring him in. The Philly fanatic himself. He's here. Thanks for making the time today, Frank.
Was that Quad's dog cam? What do we have going on here?
So this is called the Bert cam. My dog's name is Bert. He is 9 months old. And as we get set to close out the show, everybody in the chat asks for a Bert cam. So I have a little camera in his crate that he sleeps in, and I show them.
You make your dog sleep in a crate?
I cannot get my dog to not sleep in a crate. Like he won't sleep.
That's actually kind of nice. I wish my dog sleeps at the foot of my bed. And she's not huge, so like it's not really a big deal, but it's still kind of annoying. Like you're a couple times a night, you're like, all right, move over.
Yeah, my dog's only 17 pounds, but like we got him when he was 2 months old, and it, crate training obviously helps with like, potty training and all that sort of stuff. But he hasn't figured out that he's allowed to sleep outside of the crate. Like he will fall asleep, but he's always trying to stay awake because he thinks we're gonna start doing something fun, and he doesn't want to miss out. So he needs to sleep in his crate in order to sleep.
Well, I apologize. I was late. Lots going on to start the season, but a very important story I'm working on for tomorrow, and you'll understand when you see it.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Looking forward to Daily Faceoff. Frank Seravalli joining us here. Frank, I want to get.
And I'm loving the redesign, the colors. This is. I like the flying skate. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
The colors, but like this is Canucks conversation right here.
This is it. We've made the change. Still working on a couple things with Quads' background there. We'll get that figured out eventually here. But Frank, you're in attendance yesterday. Connor Bedard making his debut. Walk us through, man. Just what did you take away from seeing, the opening face-off against Crosby, the kid forgetting his stick, post-game interview on the bench? Like, what was the whole night, do you think, there for Connor Bedard? What were your takeaways from watching it?
I thought it was an amazing night. It's kind of crazy. Depending on where you're from or who you root for, people were tweeting at me like, enough, stop with the Bedard content. Like, we're good. It's almost like people have Bedard fatigue. And I'm sitting here on one hand going, hold on, are these the same people that are like, oh, the NHL does a terrible job of marketing its young stars? And then on the other hand, they're like, shut up already. I'm here for all of it. And it's really because I'm a believer in what he is. Like, this is not to pick on anyone, but this is not Alexis Lafreniere or Nail Yakupov, or pick another guy that's of recent that was kind of, build up that ends up being someone that's just okay. I'm telling you, in 2-3 years, we're talking about the only better player in the NHL is going to be another guy named Connor. Like, that's how good this guy is. And don't take it from me, like just take it from his teammates. I talked to Taylor Hall after the game, and he was just saying how nervous he was. He goes, this is my first game as a Blackhawk. I feel like I'm underprepared. I had my first kid 2 days ago. He goes, and we're sitting on a foam roller, stretching out before we get dressed for warmups. And he's like, you'd never even know that it's this kid's first NHL game. No nerves, nothing. So he was excited to see it. And I said, well, how good is he? And he goes, the real deal. He goes, I don't want to make a headline for you and turn this into something bigger than it is. But he goes, I'm telling you, this kid's the real deal. And he's played with more number one picks than anyone on planet Earth. He was one himself, helped bring McDavid along. Like, it's going to be really fun to watch.
Let's complete the Connor trifecta. Conor Garland, a lot of trade rumors, all that.
Look at that quad segue. He's growing up before our eyes.
Geez, that's one out of my book.
Segues have been very good, actually. I've been making a conscious effort to do that. I've been writing them down, thinking about it at night. Okay, the Conor Garland stuff that we're hearing. What do you make of all that?
Look, I don't think it's new. First off, the Canucks have been trying for a long time to move Conor Garland. He understood that, I think, processed that. And not only was he obviously on board for it, but rooting for it to happen, and has made it clear that he feels like his best opportunity to get back to the player he thinks he can be is not in Vancouver. So the problem is I don't see any viable solution in the near term. The only way to really dig yourself out of this with the term remaining on his deal is to go out and have an incredible start to the season and maybe open a door that way. Short of that, even teams that have cap space, like I canvassed some of them in the last, few days with this Garland information saying like, do you like him? And they're like, yeah, like I don't mind him, but what's the price? Like, meaning, are they going to pay? And then the other thing is it's the last year of the deal that teams are like, man, it's so far out there, even with the cap increasing, like we don't know what our team's going to look like. We don't want to overcommit to that I think makes it a lot harder to do.
Do you think we're going to see a kind of correction on the winger market when the cap eventually goes up, which we're expecting to happen next year? Like we've seen wingers become so devalued in recent years. Are we going to see a correction on that, do you think?
Probably not, because I think teams have figured out that one of the easiest ways to get yourself into trouble on your cap is to overcommit to a winger that isn't a play driver. And there's only so few wingers in the league that actually drive play. Like you see Johnny Gaudreau get a bag because he drives play. There's maybe like 7 of them, 10 of like whatever the number is. And those guys are in great positions because they're helping, pull your team, drag your team into the fight. The list is way longer of guys that are nice complementary pieces that get paid a ton of money because they put up points, but when push comes to shove, don't really bring the goods to the table that actually make your team better. And so that I think has been part of the correction. There's such a premium on centers. There's such a premium on defensemen. We're seeing it change the market dramatically in the last calendar year on goaltenders. Things do shift over time, but I don't see that one going away.
Frank, saw you tweeting about this the other day with the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, looking at their defense core, I see a little bit of everything. I see some older guys and they're kind of moving into their 30s, some left shot guys, some right shot guys. I also just see a lot of guys making over $2 million throughout up and down their lineup. They got over $32 million just committed to defensemen on their lineup. Are the Canucks involved in here at all? Because we see the defense core here in Vancouver. We're wondering if they even have 6 healthy guys ready to go for tonight's game. And obviously some question marks about Quinn Hughes and his partner. Right now it looks like Filip Hronek is going to be playing with Quinn Hughes, which is...
By the way, how interesting was that quote from Quinn Hughes about Hronek in the last day or two? Mm-hmm. That he's never played with a guy this good in Van.
Yeah, I think that quote means a lot to what the future, I think, is of Quinn Hughes' partner here, as long as they see that. So that's my question here. I guess we were looking at Columbus and thinking like, is Pete going to be the guy who's going to play with Quinn Hughes moving forward? If the Canucks are going to go with this Hughes-Hronek pairing, do you think there might be some interest now to look out on the market, especially if Carson Soucy, who was week to week a couple days ago, he also skated today and is now a game-time decision for tonight. So what do you think the Canucks are doing here? Are they involved at all with the Columbus Blue Jackets and moving for a defenseman?
I don't have any sense that they are, and that's not to say that it couldn't happen. I think the Blue Jackets have been on a fact-finding mission. You asked about Peak. They've also entertained Boqvist. They know there's really not much of a market for him. Everyone could kind of see that one of those guys would end up having to be a healthy scratch. It appears he's going to be that to start the year. And by the way, Kent Johnson, surprisingly enough, is too in Columbus up front. Then there was the question of like, hey, what about Jake Bean? I think the answer is like all of the above. Those are guys that Columbus would like to move. They're trying to find the one that has the most value on the market, whoever that ends up being. And sometimes, as you guys know, in Vancouver, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Like, one group, one scouting staff, one front office may really like a guy that some other front offices are down on, that it only takes one. So I think the plan for Columbus is to continue to grind to try and create some roster flexibility. I personally don't think Carson Soucy is terribly far away. If he doesn't play in game 1, I'd be surprised if it's game 4 and he's not back in the lineup. But we'll see.
Wanted to follow up with a couple of your hot takes from your 32 takes article. Vancouver Canucks fans, I think, were really enjoying what you were saying, Frank. You got Thatcher Demko was one to win the Vezina, and your stone cold bet as well about the Canucks being over 88.5 on the points for the end of the season. Let's start with Demko. What gives you thought to believe that he's a guy who could win the Vezina this season?
Supremely talented, healthy. Healthy is the biggest thing for me. You know, you can look at his numbers. Like, look at last year, then listen to him on Frankly Speaking with me when I was out in Van. He mentioned that he almost completely tore the groin and required surgery. That thing, I think, was hurt from like preseason workouts with Ian Clark before last year even started. So he was not good from the first drop of the puck. And obviously it got worse to the point where he tried to grind through, to his credit, and couldn't, and had to take himself out because it's just no good anymore. And it's tough for the team to see it get to that point. It's tough for the team in the standings with the way that play sort of resulted in what was a poor start for the season. But this year, and the way that he finished last year, he entered this summer and this longer term, the last couple months, it was a long summer, for the first time having the ability to game plan and be healthy and be proactive on the training front as opposed to reactive and rehabbing. So that, I think, makes a big difference. And I also think the Vezina is wide open this year. Like, goaltending in general is the most fickle position in pro sports. You don't know what you're getting year to year, even with some of the very best in the league. So you've got your usual suspects: Hellebuck, now that he's re-signed, Sorokin, Saros, Shesterkin, Vasilevsky's probably going to miss too much time, but why can't it be Thatcher Demko? Like, tell me why he isn't in that category of goalie, and I'll try and prove you wrong every time.
I ain't gonna tell you anything about that. I think I'm fully on board with your take. I absolutely agree with you,
and I think he's a great long shot bet to get there. Like,
the way he put it at training camp was, when he was asked about the season, he said, "The way I look at it, I had 12 bad games," and he said 12 bad games in his career, it looks like, and they were all last year, it seems. So I don't know, with that perspective, that level of perspective from Demko, I'm right there with you, Frank.
But how about how the Canucks improved their defense? Like, I'm not telling you guys or your listeners or viewers anything you don't know. The Canucks have defended like shit for multiple years now. I don't know. I can't say it any more blunt than that. Like, it's fact. So if you now have an improved defense core, a forward group that should compete more, theoretically helping you defend, and you've got a healthy goalie, all three of those things should add up to a better, much better year for Thatcher Demko. Like, elite.
And that's what I was going to ask. Like, if there was one big takeaway for you to have your other lock that you had in your article there about 88.5 points, it feels like that's the answer, though, right? Like, that is the big change. The coaching staff, the defense core, everything feels like it's a shift from being a run and gun offense who, yeah, they can be at times, right? Like, Elias Pettersson's going to get his, JT Miller's going to get his, but it was about the times when that's not clicking, that the team had nothing to rely upon. How different is it from this year? Is that the thing that you're banking on? Like, you're all aboard the Canucks to the playoffs train, Frank. You've been on it for weeks now, it feels like.
Because I'm a believer. I mean, I'm not pandering to your market. Like, I don't really care who wins or loses. This job is stressful enough. I don't. Could you imagine if that actually was something that meant something to me? I just look at it objectively, cleanly, coldly. I think this defense is better than it's being given credit for. I think it's vastly, like, you've changed out basically half of your unit. That's a big deal. Hronek for the full season now. You saw what Quinn Hughes said. Like, that's a full. He should give you 45 points. His career average is 42 over 82. Like that, plus Quinn Hughes takes another step, and up front, Pedersen takes another step, and I think there's untapped potential here, that this team that has done it in fits and spurts and has looked really good when it doesn't matter. And I think part of the last few years that's been most frustrating is sort of the way they've closed out seasons when no one really cares whether you win or lose, and it's only damaging your draft pick. That time still told me that there's something here. So now's the time to show it.
Okay, we're going to close out with you here, Frank. But before we do, we were trying to set the over on where the Canucks would finish in the standings on the penalty kill. I said they got to be 19th to make the playoffs. I think they have to be 19th after being, one of the worst we've ever seen. Where do you think they finish on the penalty kill?
It's interesting that you said that, because I'm trying to think. It's a different team, so I want to try and make sure that I size this up appropriately. But I had last week on my Daily Faceoff live show, John Goyens, who is a 2-time Quebec Major Junior League head coach, and he has been a coaching consultant for multiple NHL coaches. And he said that he's actually an analyst this year for the Montreal Canadiens on their radio broadcast, and he's tied into the Habs and what they're looking at. And he said with their penalty kill last year, which was 29th, he said when you consider their power play and penalty kill, he called it the Magic 12, and he comes up with these like whack ass terms. I don't even know what that means. So I said, what is Magic 12? Their power play was also 29th. And he said 12 goals. That's all you need over the course of an 82 game season. 12 fewer goals against on the penalty kill would have taken the Habs last year from 29th to 16th.
Damn.
That's one less power play goal against every 7 games.
Feels like the Canucks can do that, right?
I mean, we see teams all the time have like 30 to 40 point turnarounds year over year. Like, it can be done. The Canucks don't need that much. And they've obviously devoted resources, whether it's Sam Lafferty or Teddy Bluger. Like, it's clearly something that they are focused on and needed to be better. And I was asking Rick Tocchet about this when I was out there a couple weeks ago. Is one thing that's always stood out to me about penalty kill, and maybe I'm oversimplifying this, is it ain't that hard. The only thing really required is hard work and diligence. Like, you can make any player in the league, I'm convinced, a really good penalty killer as long as they have half of a brain and are willing to work hard.
I like that.
Absolutely.
And I think it's attention to detail that the Canucks need to key in on. But since they were within 1 percentage point of the Habs last year, I'd imagine that Magic 12 figure would hold up pretty well, that it would get them north of 19 and probably in the, somewhere in the middle of the pack.
We'll have to see what happens. We'll get it started tonight. Tough matchup.
How's that for an answer?
Excellent answer. Frank, we will let you go, but we can't let you go without giving us a prediction for the Phillies game, because you nailed it last week when you were on the show. We're about 2 minutes away from first pitch right now. Phillies and Braves. Give us your score prediction after nailing last week's.
Phillies lose 7-4.
There it is. That's all we need.
Okay.
Painful. Very painful.
All we need. All right, Frank. Thank you very much. We'll chat next Wednesday.
Sorry I was late, guys, and talk to you next week.
All good. There he is. Frank Seravalli joining us from Daily Faceoff in the Daily Faceoff studio there with the Daily Faceoff shirt.
Philadelphia is the favorite in that game, and Frank said
we're not doing this. Shut her down. Let's go. We've gone long enough here. I mean, big day. Obviously, season launches for Vancouver Canucks. Enjoy the game tonight, whether you're going to it, watching it from home, listening to this podcast before you go, driving up to the game, heading home from work, all the good stuff.
We got to get going. We got to return the suits from your wedding.
We got to go return some suits from the wedding. Take us home, Quads. We're all wrapped up here.
Yeah. For my co-host, Chris Faber, and our technical producer.
Oh, hold on. No, I got more stuff. I know. My bad. Here we go. A couple other things. Greta party, Saturday. Get your tickets. All the information is on the Canucks Army, Twitter, Instagram, everything. You can find it. I'm hosting. Greta, let's give it our best shot. Tickets are selling well. We're excited for what we're going to do on Saturday. $2 hot dogs, all that good stuff. Aaron's got a pregame show. I don't know if Aaron's connection's great. Pre-gaming with Boardsy. Aaron's going to have a pregame show up on the Oilers Nation account. If he wants to hop in, you can. There he is. Yep, Aaron, today, what's going on? What timeline here for a pregame show?
So we're going to be going live on the Oilers Nation YouTube. I know we are the enemy, but I help support the Canucks, so we're going to be a family about this. But we're going to be going live always 1 hour before the game, and we're actually doing ours live today from Greta in downtown Edmonton. So yeah, we're going to get joined by me, Tyler Yaremchuk, who I'm sure you guys see his face everywhere. In fact, I think that's why they gave me the show, to be completely honest. We're going to have Jay Downton with us, and we're going to be previewing everything the folks need to know, updated lines, starting goaltender matchups, betting lines, probably a couple ridiculous bets between the three of us. I see that in our future, and it'll be a good time. We'll get you all set, and then we are even doing a post-game show called Oilers Nation After Dark. It shows all day, every day, baby. I go from bright early in the morning to late at night, and I couldn't be more excited to get going with this.
I'm just waiting for Aaron to preview the Canucks and Oilers games from his show and be like, guys, I need to tell you about Guillaume Brisebois.
I know. I'm ready for Aaron's. Aaron's got the hockey. He's got the Canucks stuff here.
He's like, you guys aren't talking about Guillaume Brisebois nearly enough.
Yeah. And Aaron.
These are my Canucks notes. These are my Canucks notes from listening to you guys the last couple of days. Great. I feel ready and updated to talk Canucks.
That's great.
So what I heard is all 82 games as well, right? You're pre-gaming over on Oilers Nation there?
Yep, we're gonna be doing them all. Most of them in studio. That includes weekends. So we'll be here at the headquarters and getting the folks everything they need to know about the future Stanley Cup champion.
And what's going on? How hard you boozing on these things? Because I see beer pong cups as that's the logo or something. What's going on? How many drinks are you having in the pregame?
Well, I can't give away the sponsors yet. I'm pretty sure you guys know why and who they are. But we can say it's going to be sponsored by Greta the entire season long. So there's that. And I love Greta. I've never been to the Vancouver Greta. I love the one here. It's the best vibes. And we did all our playoff parties here last year. So I think the crowd knows what they're going to get. But we will have a sponsor of some type of liquid coming up in the future, which might lead to some extra spicy hot takes. And we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it'll be a good time. Pre-gaming 1 hour before the game.
Excellent. So check that out if you want the Oilers Nation's account. I know the folks in the chat are saying hate the Oilers, love Aaron. So Aaron, you'll get a couple of viewers sliding in there.
I appreciate
thing I wanted to bring up was the graphic here from the Stanchies, because Quads, the Stanchies are back tonight on Canucks Army. Our own Wyatt Aren't the Stanchion returning with the Stanchies. Get some hype in the chat for that. The post-game report over on Canucks Army. No subscription fees, no paywalls. All of a Wyatt. The Stanchies.
Thanks again to Harmon Dial for stepping in twice.
Love it.
Just chirp him.
No, I'm not.
You're chirping the publication.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying what Wyatt does is great, and it's available for free at CanucksArmy.com. Click all the ads. All right, we'll wrap things up on that note, Quads?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. For my co-host Chris Faber, our technical producer Aaron Bordato.
Good to be back.
Thanks again to Frank Seravalli for joining us on this episode of Canucks Conversation. My name is Dave Quadrelli.
What? Is that the outro? Canucks Conversation with Quads and Faber. New episodes every weekday, 1:30 across the board, except for Wednesdays, 1 o'clock. We'll see you there live on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. For more information, visit CanucksArmy.com.
How about keep it to a thank you, Jim?